Hey everyone, just the other day, a new Helldivers 2 patch dropped, and there's been a ton of shifts. They said it was a minor patch, but when a patch is 1.5 times the size of Dark Souls 3, it's pretty sizable. And with that, there's been a lot of changes to the guns that you need to be utilizing, the stratagems you need to be utilizing, and the strategies you need to be using. So, let's jump into the changes and see exactly what has shifted in this massive patch. First and foremost, almost everyone has been using the Railgun. This thing has been sweet traditionally, but the latest update has basically taken it out of rotation in my opinion. No longer can you completely destroy chargers with it, you can't break off armor with it, it's just not that great, even on unsafe mode. This basically drops it out of the rotation for me, out of the meta for me. I have tried it since the patch, and as you can see in the footage here, it just bounces off these chargers. And it's almost essentially useless. You can still use it on brood mothers and other things like that, but if you're looking to take down chargers, it's no longer really viable. And I've tried it on Bile Titans, still not as good. So I would expect a massive uptick in autocannon as well as the Flamethrower, because that thing got a sweet buff too. The second major takeaway from this patch is that the Breaker, everyone's favorite shotgun, got a pretty solid nerf here. They decreased the magazine capacity from 16 to 13 and increased the recoil from 30 to 55. Now this might not sound like a big difference to you, but those 3 shells are pretty important given that it takes 2 to 3 shells to take down a lot of the larger enemies. Not only that, but the recoil does make a pretty solid kick difference, so you're not quite as accurate from range, especially when you're moving. I hope that this is going to shift up the meta a little bit away from the Railgun Breaker combo, but we'll see. So far, I have tried the Breaker and it still is functional, so if you're still utilizing the Breaker, don't worry, it's still pretty good. As far as primary weapons go, probably the biggest shift was the Flamethrower, as I mentioned earlier. This got a massive 50% increased damage per second. That's huge. And I have to say, I tried it out on a mission, and it can mow through chargers, larger bugs, even huge swaths of them pretty easily. So I'd recommend giving it a try. Keep in mind that there has been a shift in the fixes, and fire damage is a real threat. So make sure you're paying attention to where you're pointing this thing, as if you're focusing on your friends even slightly, they're going to get crisped up real quick. And if you hit a bug with it, you can have that flame tracking with them, causing this massive flame across the entire battlefield. You can easily get stuck. I've almost been killed by it multiple times, and I'm sure that you guys will too. But it is really fun, and it's a really rewarding weapon to use, so I highly recommend giving it a try. The laser cannon also got a pretty big increase. It's got increased damage against durable enemy parts, increased armor pen, and improved ergonomics. I think that this basically brings it into the conversation of being able to be usable. If you've used the laser cannon before, you know it's okay at best. I'm hopeful that this will push it into a slightly more usable space, but we'll see how it goes. In the balancing tab, the Eradicate mission has been shifted. In their words, Eradicate missions now require more kills and enemies spawn more often. Time to complete this mission was previously shorter than intended and should now usually take twice as long to complete. So, basically, it usually took us about 3 to 5 minutes to complete this mission, now 6 to 10 minutes. I think it's still going to be a viable farming strategy for XP as well as samples and other materials, but I wouldn't say it's quite the massive hack that it was before, so hopefully we'll see people utilizing this glitch a little bit less often. But it's still a great mission, so if you're looking to farm up some XP, hit it. When we come down to stratagems, the Energy Shield backpack has been slightly nerfed. I wouldn't say that this is a massive nerf, it's just kind of a little bit of a quality of life shift. So, basically it increased the delay before recharging. And that doesn't mean the recharge timer that you have for dropping this stratagem to begin with. This means that when you get hit enough times and your shield is actively dropped, it takes a little bit longer for it to recharge. In my experience in playing through the patch today, that shift is about 5 to 10 seconds longer, maybe a little bit more. So I really wouldn't consider this a massive change in the meta. I still think utilizing these is still really helpful, as later missions, survivability is kind of key. So I would recommend, if you're going to be utilizing the Energy Shield backpack, it's still viable for sure. It's just a little bit more balanced than it was before. It's not a must-have weapon. The next upgrade to stratagems is the 380mm and the 120mm Orbital Barrages have been changed a little bit. The duration has been increased on the bombardment, and the spread is decreased. That means it's going to be a little bit more focused, and it's going to last a little bit longer. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been killed by the bombardments 1,000 times. When someone drops them down on a strategic point, it is essentially uninhabitable for the next 30 seconds or so, and it can really slow down missions. mainly because it was pretty difficult to understand where these bombardments were going to fall. Although they fell in a specific pattern, memorizing that pattern is kind of a pain in the butt, and it just takes you out of the gameplay to begin with. So I'm a fan of this. I think it's going to be a good balance. I've tried it out once or twice, and so far it seems like it's a pretty good shift. One of the more fun major updates here is that planetary hazards are active, and many planets now have additional environmental challenges. These environmental challenges are going to be noted on the planet before you go into missions there. There's a potential for environmental challenges like fire tornadoes and meteor showers, which are awesome, and apparently many more. I currently have only experienced the meteor showers, and let me tell you, they are fun. They're really pretty to look at the beginning, and then when you walk into the area affected by it, it is super chaotic. They are blowing up all over the place, and I personally have been taken out at least once by them. It is a brutal update to an already chaotic battlefield. But it's fun, and it's really pretty, so I think it's going to be a cool addition to the game. I'm really excited to see the fire tornadoes because, man, those sound awesome. So we'll see how it all plays out, but for right now, it seems like a cool update to make things a little bit more chaotic. Most importantly, not only do these affect you, but they affect the bugs on the battlefield and the mechs on the battlefield as well. So, you're getting hit, but so are they. Kind of a cool addition. Now, as far as the fixes go, there's probably one major fix in this patch, which is that armor rating values are actually working. So, we'll see if that's the case, but basically up to this point, everyone was utilizing light armor because who cared about the heavier armor stuff? You could just be getting all the benefits of light armor, and it was not shifting the balance between light and heavy armor. You could run faster, you could go for longer durations, it was great. With this shift, that means that heavy armor is back in rotation, and you can utilize it again if you're starting to get killed more and more. I don't know if this is going to be a massive shift up in the way that we actually play the game, and many of the benefits can be found across light, medium, and heavy armor anyways, so if you have a specific thing that you're trying to utilize your armor for, you can use all three of those levels. It just is up to personal preference. I know a lot of people like using light armor for the less detection features, but heavy armor could be really valuable, especially in those missions where you're getting killed over and over again, so try it out, see what fits your playstyle best, and I think this fix is going to be a really nice balance. One of the key fixes that they made here is that Helldivers now take damage from fire, gas, and other things generated by other players. That includes yourself. So although the Flamethrower got a 50% increase in damage, that means that that fire is super dangerous to your friends and yourself. So if you're going to be using the Flamethrower, just be aware that it's super dangerous to use and that anyone getting stuck in that is going to be really messed up. I already was experiencing a lot of damage from these effects from my teammates as well as myself to begin with, so I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But for the most part, it shouldn't be much of a shift overall. It just is ensuring that this is going to be affecting everyone equally. The final fix that I thought actually made a bit of difference was that the camera is no longer locked to the player's own corpse and blocking spectator mode. So, I don't know about you, but there was multiple times where I was getting killed on the battlefield and I was just stuck watching my body as maybe off in the distance my friends were doing something else. This is going to take that away and actively allow you to watch what's going on so you can prepare to get back into the fight a little bit easier. It's not much of a shift, but it's a nice quality of life thing that's going to improve the way we play the game. Finally, there's a long list of known issues that the dev team has let us know about that they're actively aware of and actively working towards, but haven't been fixed in this patch. I think this is an awesome thing that this team is doing. They're letting us know that they're aware of the issues, that they're working on them, though they're not quite ready to roll out improvements or fixes for them quite yet. I know that I have found a number of weird bugs. I've been actively reporting some of those, and I have been engaging a lot of the community with this. I think that it's a really cool thing to see the team actively vocalizing that and letting us know. Basically, if you want to know more about them, I've left them up on screen here for you, but if you have any questions, by all means, drop a comment, see where we're at. Now that this massive update is fully live and rolled out, it's going to be important for you to shift the way that you play a little bit to really take advantage of everything that's in the game, as well as to kind of keep those things to the side that aren't working so much. I highly recommend changing out the railgun if you're utilizing it currently. It's really not functional, so go ahead and take some different stratagems that are going to help you do a little bit more armor piercing and get rid of some of those bulkier enemies without compromising a lot of that space. You can utilize the spear or any other weapon. I think that the autocannon is going to be pretty clutch here, as well as the flamethrower. I've tried them both, and they're both working pretty well still. So give it a try. Other than that, I'm loving this game still, and I think that this update really is a nice balance, and it's really changing up the way that everything is. We fell into too hard of a meta here at the beginning, and I think that this is going to be awesome to see people playing a different way. If you have a specific playstyle that you think is crushing it and that no one knows about, by all means, drop a comment about what is going on in the game that you think is killing it. I think that there's going to be some fun stuff from this, and I really don't think the breaker is completely broken quite yet, so we'll see where that goes. Other than that, I'm loving this game, and if you want to hear more about updates, more about news, and more about some tips and tricks, make sure you stay tuned and hit me with a subscribe. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Peace!